manufacturing and skills development. In this roundtable, panelists are going to explore how scaling renewable electrification, with particular interest in distributable or distributed renewable energy systems. Of course, depending on the building, domestic manufacturing ecosystems, and of course, not forgetting the workforce equipped with different, maybe vocational skills, or what we call also technical skills. I hope at the end of this session, the discussion will unpack the barriers, especially facing local farms, which include limited access to advanced industrial capabilities, and of course, persistent capital, or what we call persistent human capital gaps. This discussion will also examine why a strategic, and I want to highlight the word strategic, why strategic investment in production ecosystems and skills development is key, or what we call a strategic enabler to reduce import independence or import dependence, which of course will enhance competition and also generate what we call quality jobs. And this goes hand in hand with what we call energy efficiency in terms of affordability, in terms of energy security. So that's what this discussion will also cover. But more importantly, we hope that focusing also on industrial policy and innovative instrument, or what we call innovative financing instruments, will be also a subject of discussion. Not forgetting maybe the training models that actually can strengthen and boost the local industries and reinforce renewable energy value chains. That is from the generation to even the demand side of the value chain. To set this discussion, the session is guided by specific objectives or session objectives. So one of it will be aimed at strengthening local manufacturing capacity and also looking at it from the aspect of quality jobs that accompany this. Then we also envisage that the discussion will explore how targeted investments in technical and vocational skills can build a resilient and competitive value chains. But more importantly, is what we call the experiential kind of focus, or what we call the practical examples of financing and policy approaches that link capital flows to capital development. Before I welcome the panelists, may I ask my colleague, Eugenia, just to set the pace for the session. Let's have a hand clap for Eugenia.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eugenia Mashikani. I am part of the RA team, representing the team from East and Southern Africa. As David has said, I'm just here to set the scene for our discussion this afternoon. Really, we want to look from the aspect of capital to capability, which is the sort of a missing link. So we want to look at financing local renewable energy electrification, manufacturing, and skills development. There is our African story, the African landscape. We live on a continent of challenges. We live on a continent of opportunities. We live on a continent of hope. And just to give an overview of the landscape, I think it now sounds like a broken record because this has been the story since yesterday. Looking at the Africa transition and industrialization story, there are opportunities. There are opportunities because 600 million people on the continent lack access to electricity. The number has been increasing, or has been reducing. You saw that in some of the presentations, they were still talking about 700,000, but the numbers have been changing, mostly because of the policies and strategies that have been adopted universally to try and promote deployment at continental level. And out of the electrified population, only 25% of the electricity is from clean sources. And yet we have these sources in abundance. We have solar, we have wind, we have geothermal in Kenya, as we all heard being said in the presentations. Then 55% of new connections are from decentralized systems, which I think brings us hope in that I think there's an opportunity for electrification in the future using distributed renewable energy systems. Then from the statistics, 40 million people could be electrified through mini grids by 2040. So there lies an opportunity. Just that map to show you, I think, our African story about lack of access to electricity. So 2040, we're hoping that we'll be talking a different story, maybe progressively from 2030, because we all have our compact stories with our strategies. We have different interventions that we are looking at. The energy transition challenge, as I've already said, we have a growing pattern or a trajectory of renewable energy deployment. But sadly, we lack local manufacturing and skills development, which presents a challenge to our continent. Because of the fast-growing deployment, we also have fast-growing import bills and trends, mostly because we lack manufacturing capacity within the region or on our continent. And this makes it difficult for us, and it also puts us in a very vulnerable situation because we depend on imports. For us to import, we need foreign currency, and we are also exposed to geopolitics, which also affects the supply chains. And I think we have learned from our COVID, the previous COVID situation, where there were serious supply chain bottlenecks and delays in the deployment of projects. So it is these vulnerabilities that we are exposed to. And over and above that, jobs are compromised because we are not value adding, we are not manufacturing, so we are depending on other countries and failing to maximize on the value chain. And as a result, economic development is suppressed. We have the skills gap and limited local manufacturing, as I've said. And costs, because we are importing, exchange rates are volatile, so will be the prices of the imports, the components that we import. They are also become affected. Where do the opportunities lie for this continent? Opportunities and strategies that our continent needs to focus on. We need to focus on development and implementation of policies that support local assembly plans and manufacturing on our continent, and more so because of the upcoming Africa Free Continental Market. Sorry, I'm confused. AFSEM is the Africa Free Energy Market. Oh, yes, so we need to take advantage of that. As a continent, we have regional integration happening, and where we are prioritizing on trading amongst ourselves, and we also want to increase exports within the continent, inter and intra-country trade. So it gives us an opportunity to be involved in manufacturing. So it's an area there we need to look at renewable energy components that can be manufactured within our own region. But then for us to be able to manufacture, we need to develop skills, both at higher education and TVET colleges, technical and vocational training centers, so that we integrate the academic community to develop robust and high-tech renewable energy industries, so that in the end we have an import substitution strategy where we have components being manufactured locally. For instance, look at the issue of lithium that is mined in Africa. Currently, we are all exporting raw lithium, and it's being processed in other markets, then comes back to us as finished products with higher prices. We have exported and forgone jobs, then we have to pay foreign currency when these products are coming back to us as battery energy storage systems. So we also want to take advantage of manufacturing, setting up manufacturing hubs or industrial zones where we focus on renewable energy industry components, value chains in the process. We are currently already working on skills development, cooperating with a number of partners in the region, being supported by a number of other development partners. Under ARE, Alliance for Renewable Electrification, we have a program that we call CORE. CORE stands for Cornerstone of Renewable Energy. Then we also have another training program which we call Grid Energy Resilience. These grid energy and resilience, these programs are set to support policymakers, universities, TVET colleges, and the academia in general to try and develop skills. For the core program, it's really about setting skills for designing and installation of designing and installation of distributed renewable energy mini-grids, which has benefited quite a number of countries. We have done that program in Malawi, we have done it in Zambia, we have done it in Zimbabwe, and we also have a transforming energy access learning partnership. A number of other training programs are also happening, training, working with universities. As you'll hear from some of my colleagues who will be speaking, as David said, the practical aspects. Then, of course, we also have a much bigger program that is being supported by the Global Gateway, and we call it TA of VET. You will hear about them more tomorrow. So mine is really a call to action that industry, can you come and join us tomorrow? We want to work with you to coordinate efforts to train a stronger workforce that will benefit you as industry. To the academia and development partners, please come and collaborate with us to roll out training of trainer programs so that we fast-track deployment of our training and build a strong workforce. For governments, we also invite you to work with us to certify training and enable skills development and job creation. It is important that the trainings that we run get a government certification and accreditation. Then to all of you who are here, and please spread the news, come and join us tomorrow for skills development, the skills development track. We'll be meeting in the Ivory Hall. I think it's just across there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eugenia, for setting the stage for our panel discussion. And as Eugenia has said, to achieve SDG 7, that is affordable and clean energy, you can do that using, a local research and innovation ecosystem. And to do that, there is need to also invest in local patenting, to invest in the startups, local manufacturing, and what we are championing now, technical and vocational skills. And I think this discussion is timely to this theme. Just to highlight, maybe from the academia point of view, in the sub-Saharan region, and because I'm also a renewable energy expert, there's a lot of studies have been done on potential of the renewable energy resources. But when you look at the business model, you can't translate just potential assessment into the market unless now beyond research, you have to look at commercialization or what we call marketing. Yes, we have enough data. We know our potential in terms of solar, in terms of wind, in terms of geothermal, for instance. But beyond that knowledge, beyond just research, we have to move the next step, and that is commercialization. And for you to go to market, you need investment. So allow me to welcome today's panel. And to unlock this, we have we have a panel of 5 who are going to guide us in this topic of capital to capabilities, especially when we are focusing on renewables and in terms of how do we invest. Allow me to request Kai from T. Elip to join the stage. As he joins, kindly give him a round of applause. Thank you. Next is Francois from Global Business Development Manager. Francois, welcome. We have Abba from the Nigerian Electrification Agency. Let's clap for him. Welcome on the stage. Then second last, we have Samuel from Ways of Power. Let's clap for Samuel. Then lastly, and if you look at gender balance, the only lady, Ravishka from Schneider, let's clap for her. Being a teacher, I will be asking the audience to allow me to go and sit where I have a moving mic. And I just want to request you, let's give them a platform to listen to them, but we're also going to have a window to get some inputs from you. So allow me to ask my panelists just to give an introduction. That's why I was so mean about your names, about your company or organization or agency, what you normally do, and how is it connected to this session, especially when you are looking at capital to capabilities. And in terms of now the renewables. So I'll give a chance starting from Kai as we move to the other side. Thank you, Kai.
Thank you so much, David, and lovely to be here once again. And yeah, huge thank you to ARE and their team for putting together another exceptional event. My name is Kai Foster. I represent the Transforming Energy Access Learning Partnership. So our goal is specifically to cultivate a skilled workforce within the energy access and renewable energy sectors, mostly in developing regions. So we cover most of Africa, South Asia, and the Pacific Islands. So we do that in 3 ways. We consult with a network of about 30, 35 universities around the global south to develop master's level curricula. We work with professionals in the sector who want to get more niche skills. For example, if you're an electrical engineer who wants to go more into data analytics for renewable energy, we've got a bridging course for that, amongst many others. So we'll basically help to build the professional capacity for or through CPD courses on e-learning platforms. And the third thing that we do is we basically work with our entire network, which includes the universities, the professionals, and whoever else joins our network to facilitate the sharing of knowledge and resources and things like case studies, data sets, and so on, just to enhance the sharing of information amongst everyone. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Francois from COMAP. I'm Global Business Development Manager at COMAP. COMAP is a European company that is designing, manufacturing and commercializing control solutions for energy assets. We've been in business for 35 years. We're a humble 600 people operation that has a global reach. And we are proud to empower renewable assets within hybrid microgrid applications, although we've been known in the business for our controllers for genset applications. And my role in this organization is to support global partnerships with major OEMs, so companies that are providing battery solutions, so either battery inverters or battery as a system to companies that are then developing, deploying these assets on the local grounds. So happy to be here. Thank you, David, for the introduction, and looking forward to this discussion today.
Hello everyone, my name is Abu Bakr Aliu. I'm the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Rural Electrification Agency, Federal Government of Nigerian agency with the sole responsibility of addressing electricity access challenge in the country. As we know, Nigeria has the highest number of people without access, so it's the role of the agency that I'm working with to provide that, to address that access. I'm connected to this session because Nigeria currently, as one of the key strategic objectives of the country, is driving the localization of manufacturing in the country. And I look forward to sharing our experience. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Samuel. I work with Anzana Electric Group, a private company that develops power generation projects from small hydropower and distribution networks, and one that is working with the Burundian government to on a large-scale distribution project, Wekesa Power. So I'll be talking a bit, sharing some of the insights from this experience in Burundi on skills development.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ravishka Jairam, and I'm the Global Youth Education and Entrepreneurship Leader for Schneider Electric. I don't think Schneider Electric really needs an introduction, but perhaps from a philanthropy point of view, we do have a Schneider Electric Foundation, and our core focus is, of course, on educating the youth on the energy transition, and today I will share more about that.
Yeah. Thank you, panelists. And picking it up from Kai, especially on technical skills. As a learning partnership, TLP sits at intersection of evidence, policy, and practice. We would like to know what does your work tell us about the most effective models or approaches to skills development, and where are the critical gaps that the sector still needs to maybe fill in? How are your lessons from your organization learned, especially in terms of the design of the next phase of the T programs ahead? So if you can just give us an overview of the sector.
Sure. So a few years ago, when we started the second phase of the TLP project, we did some market analysis, and we basically identified what the gaps were, what industry required. And to basically develop these master's level courses, we worked with basically some of the top professors around the continent, who we were lucky enough to have join us as well, to develop 3 renewable energy courses, which were basically fulfilling these market gaps that were identified. So these 3 courses were local solutions for energy access. There was one on mini-grids design and planning, and the third one was appliances for off-grid communities. So essentially these 3 courses were rolled out through our network of 35 universities across the continent, or across the global south, as I said previously. And this is basically important because we are able to then help cultivate a workforce of master's students or graduates specializing in renewable energy, who don't only have the technical skills, they also go above and beyond to learn skills in community engagement, finance and business models, product design, market validation, policy and regulations, and environmental stewardship. And as a result, they are better equipped than anyone to be solving the energy access challenges that exist in their specific regions. So a big part of it as well was basically to contextualize and localize the curricula. So with the help of the professors who designed the framework, we encouraged our partner universities to basically also make the courses their own by finding local data sets and local case studies and so forth, so that they'd be well prepared to contribute to their own region, which would then reduce the need to basically get, excessive international organizations to come and support, which, essentially could help to build a more pan-Africanist economy. So in addition to the developing the master's level courses, we, again, as I said, we focus on developing CPD courses aimed at professionals. And these courses address an important need in helping the workforce basically stay up to date with the latest trends and, basically the latest trends. So often what can happen at the university or academic level is slow bureaucratic processes, which means that in some extreme cases, from the time that you have the idea, okay, we want to implement this, or this is a key skill that needs to be sort of rolled out in the market, it can take up to 5 years to actually see those university accredited courses actually being introduced to the public and to the students, who will then go on to obviously represent those skills in the marketplace. So an example of this, I'm from South Africa, and one of the leading universities in South Africa offered a degree in computer science, and they still haven't included a single mention of artificial intelligence in there, which I found was quite shocking, considering computer science is obviously the sort of subject or the field which gave birth to artificial intelligence, so to speak. So essentially these CPD courses help for the rapid deployment and development and delivery of the knowledge needed to help transition or help with the energy transition and support local manufacturing capabilities. And to date we have developed courses on renewable energy systems, including energy security, sustainability, data analytics, machine learning and AI for renewable energy, circular economy opportunities for renewable energy, as well as a course focused on technical management and leadership specifically aimed at women. So historically and currently as well, we have very significant gender gap in STEM-related subjects, and this course was basically a way to help narrow that gap. So just to wrap up, a few of the most effective approaches that we've used to promote skills development on a bigger scale is firstly through subsidies from our funders. So we were able to basically reduce the cost of the CPD courses by up to 85% in some of those cases, which made it a lot more accessible and affordable to people who otherwise might not have had that opportunity to advance their careers and to gain these important skills needed to drive the transition. We also focused on embedding flexibility to our curricula and especially our CPD courses as well. So there are a long list of challenges that our learners have faced. For example, connectivity issues, family, household responsibilities, healthcare, and infrastructure. And by offering these flexible arrangements, we found that we were able to significantly increase the number of graduates or the number of people who completed the courses, and we had in our e-learning courses about an 80% completion rate, which is substantially higher than the historical about 30–35%. And then lastly, scalability as well. So in-person trainings are often limited to 20 people, and obviously they're highly effective for those 20 people in attendance, but to be able to really build the workforce and to deliver skills on a far bigger scale, we found that e-learning was a very effective way to do so. And by getting it accredited through national organizations like the Engineering Council of South Africa, we found that a lot of the sort of previous challenges and ideas surrounding e-learning could also start to be dissipated slightly. Critical gaps, lastly, technical skills are often up to standard in the continent. Soft skills and workplace readiness are not. Lack of internships, lack of funding or scholarship opportunities, and again, the slow bureaucratic processes.
Thank you, Kai. Well elaborate, especially on the skills development, and you have given a good case studies. And I think all of us here agree that for sustainability, you need to ensure that the local skills actually take a center stage compared to importing maybe the experts. And I think Kai has tried to give us an overview of how it's done. But Francois, maybe as we got the next, or just to pick it up, and as you build a context on reducing the import dependence, maybe we would like to know how is CompUp approaching this in practice, and what does, maybe if you can give us an overview on what does meaningful collaboration with local partners look like, especially on the ground.
Yes, certainly. Thank you, David. I'll try to be as clear as you, Kai, but it would be difficult. You were very precise. So forgive me, guys, if I'm stumbling through my notes, just to make sure I'm not missing on anything. I wanted to say again that CompUp is offering control solutions for decentralized energy assets, and concretely these are hardware equipments. They are as large as a notebook, right? And they are there in order to regulate the power flows within energy systems. That's what we do. We ensure that the power is of quality to the mini-grids or microgrids out there. Our customers are system integrators or maybe sometimes EPC companies. They are purchasing the controllers and to answer and to meet the functional requirements of the end users. What happens, though, is that these distributed renewables systems are inherently very complex, and because they combine equipments from multiple vendors, multiple technologies. We're talking battery inverters, solar inverters, diesel gensets, mains, connection, incomings, and all of these has to collaborate together, and this is not easy. We've been in this business for a long time, and having diesel gensets collaborate with batteries, not trivial, okay? So definitely skills are needed. You need to be trained, you need to know, to have experience, to be tutored by some knowledgeable companies and universities as well to make this working correctly. Our role in this ecosystem is to provide the right set of solutions to our customers, system integrators, so that they can be autonomous at some point. But what we see is that in countries where we are developing our business, most of the time we have to create the ecosystem, create the compatibility, create the skills within the system integrators to work within our ecosystem, and that takes time. So the way we do it, the way we solve this kind of, I forgot the word, the gap in the market is we will leverage real life projects and we'll first start by providing the full solution to the project. So the full control solution that comes as a panel. So these notebook hardware that I was mentioning earlier, we would put them into some panels, do the configuration, customization according to the site's specificities, and this is very difficult because every site is different, every end user has some very specific needs, so there's a lot of things that needs to be clarified, and that's why local people, local touch, local companies that are very competent are important. It's because you need to go on the site, in the building, meet the people, understand their needs, scale the right products, and then do the control configuration. So we would do that with the local companies together at first for the 2, 3, first 4 projects, commercial projects, sorry. And then by the time goes on, throughout the collaboration, the system integrators, the local companies, they will get autonomous more and more, and at some point they can become completely independent of COMAP, and that results in a transfer of technology because we won't have to provide a solution anymore. We can rely on local companies to do the value added that is necessary to actually implement these projects. So there is a necessary bandwidth or time where we have to work together with the locals, and that is a form of training, of course. We're also providing some structured training with webinars, hands-on training. We have academies. We are having an academy in Nigeria this October. Last year it was in Uganda. 2 years ago in Kenya. So we're investing a lot in training our customers and the ecosystem so that at some point we hope they are autonomous enough to develop the value, develop the local skills, develop the autonomy that is needed to solve the mystery of microgrids because it's a case-by-case discussion all the time.
Thank you, Francois. And I think mentioning about local skills development, I think is a key fundamental, especially if you want to reduce the import dependence. Even if you are looking at it in terms of even just the energy efficiency, when you are going to or you are moving into these renewables, if, for example, the shift is from, let's say, fossils, but without maybe the policies in place, especially that deals with the sector, you might still have some challenge, especially the industrial policies. I would like Abba from the Nigerian Electrification Agency just to give us an overview how the agency in Nigeria is integrating local manufacturing and workforce development into its strategy towards renewables transition. And as you do that, maybe what policy levers and financing tools maybe are being found most effective in Nigeria in stimulating local production ecosystems and also towards green job creation. Abba?
Thank you very much. So from Nigerian perspective, when you are implementing one of the biggest renewable projects that ever been implemented in the entire world, you need to be very cautious of the impact of that project in the entire macroeconomic sector of the country. Nigeria currently is implementing the DES project, a project that has over $750 million publicly funded funds that would also incentivize a private sector funding of $1.1 billion to electrify 17.5 million Nigerians by deploying 1,350 mini grids, of which 250 of them are going to be interconnected mini grids. This is a very big push in the country's entire economy. So taking that into context, one of the things that we looked into is how do we not only focus on the implementation of the infrastructure, but leveraging on that to catalyze some socio-economic benefit in the country. we have seen, for example, for those that have looked into, for example, the Indian case study, how a big push in electrifying or in addressing electricity access by India, how it has catalyzed the dumping of a lot of substandard PV panels in the country, to the extent that the country had to be very deliberate to put in place some fiscal, administrative, and technical incentives to reverse that trend. So taking it a cue in that, what had happened in the Indian perspective, that is why in Nigeria, we now put in place deliberate methodology to make sure that as we are implementing this big project, we also have put in place certain incentives that would incentivize localization of manufacturing of PV panels. Before the commencement of the project, the country has only 120 megawatts of PV panels, for example, manufacturing capacity. But as at today, we have 300 megawatt capacity. Made in Nigeria, PV panels is now being exported to other African countries. And we have a whopping 3.7 gigawatt manufacturing capacity that is coming in place before the end of the first quarter of next year. And this is based as a result of deliberate incentive and methodology that we put in place to make sure that we incentivize that investment. One of the first things that we put in place is promoting an offtake agreement. The implementation of not only the DES project that we are implementing, but other projects would provided an opportunity for the importation of millions of PV panels. And we now said that chunk part of that should be for companies that deliberately put an investment and localize the assembly or manufacturing of that PV panels in the country. So we signed a number of offtake agreements with a number of private sector that are looking into investing in the country, and that catalyzed the investment. Secondly is we are in the process of putting in place a policy that would incentivize also the patronizing only locally made PV panels or locally assembled PV panels in Nigeria. And this is something that we are very keen on, and it will very soon come into play. And this is also taking an inspiration in what we have seen India have done and what also Ethiopia has also done. Before 2025, Ethiopia is not exporting one single panel of PV panels, but as of today, if you look at the export of PV panels and the manufacturing, Ethiopia is the biggest manufacturer and importer of cells, assembling them and exporting it as an African country. And Nigeria now wants to step in as one of the second country that will be the biggest assembler and exporter of PV panels. So putting in place fiscal incentives, technical regulation, some administrative strategies, these are things that we see and we are very deliberate on, and we will continue to pursue. In conclusion, it is very important as Africans to not only focus in terms of the deployment of the infrastructure, but also be looking at the numbers in terms of what is the impact of that in terms of job opportunities, our FX, the movement of our FX in terms of our dollar, naira, or dollar local currency importation or exportation, and also deliberate to make sure that we achieve some import substitution. And that is what Nigeria is looking at, and we have seen the sign, and we'll very soon position ourselves as the biggest assembler or manufacturer of PV panels and also the exporter. Thank you.
Wow, I think that's a very good point, especially the aspects of what is happening in the global dynamics. Looking at the policies, how can we inject or maybe ensure that we have very clear policies, even when it comes to carbon market, which is sometimes not so clear, but when it comes to the renewables, and you are looking at it in terms of the CO2 reduction, how do you convert that into the carbon credits so that it has an impact in terms of the payback or when you invest in such a technology? Now, as we move on, I would like us to have an overview from Samuel, especially looking at it from your institution, which actually has been operating in multiple East African markets. Maybe the first question would be, how does local skills or lack of it shape the way you develop and deploy projects? Then the last question is, what has been your experience, especially when you are doing sourcing of the skilled personnel locally? And how do you approach any challenge? If you can give us a case study of Burundi, it will be good to pick it up from there.
Thank you. And maybe I'll start from this Burundi example, because in the rest of the East African market, when you are, so Anzana is in Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Zambia, DRC, Malawi. And in most of these countries, it's a bit, when you're developing the generation side, the renewable energy, it's a bit easier to find the skill in the local market. When you want to scale and you're looking at something the size of what Abba said here, around several millions of people, then it becomes very, very expensive if you don't have the skills, the local skills available. Let's say, for example, for medium voltage and low voltage lines, you have linesmen, you have a number of technicians that you need to be able to deploy quickly. So just to give a bit of an idea of the project that Anzana is doing in Burundi. So this is, power is a large-scale distribution power, that is using a model, 25-year invest, build, operate model, where so it's a partnership between the private sector and the public sector, so and the government of Burundi. And specifically, the target is to be able to serve at least 1 million customers. So that is serve about a population of 7 million people and to be implemented within a short period, so within 6 to 7 years. To be able to do this, and this is being done across the country, they're having a sizable number of skilled technicians is crucial for the success of such a project. And so Weza Power has done a number of, has approached it in a number of ways. So to begin with is a partnership that is kind of modeled around how the utility here in Kenya does it, raises the capacity of its own staff and of its contractors to be able to have skilled local labor to do the line stringing, basically all the installation of the low voltage network, medium voltage network. And so in the case of Weza Power, we've partnered with a technical school there that is that has a student population of about 3,000 people. And we've built a training center that will serve both some of the graduates from that school, but also Weza employees or Weza trainees that will be coming on to work in these areas, but also the workers or the staff of the contractors that will be working on these projects. And so with the support of a development partner, we've completed working on a practical area, outdoor yard, where you would learn about, the technicians would be able to learn the various skills that are required, rehabilitated the training and yeah, that is going live, I think, in the next few weeks. My colleague is sitting here who has been following these projects that's set up. And the idea is to be able to, every year, assist at least 150 technicians to upskill and to be able to support the needs.
Yeah, thank you, Samuel, and giving us the perspective of Burundi, I think, is very important. And just to pick it from where you have left, all of us, you have heard about Schneider Electric. In most of the countries, I think they have their offices there. I would like us to just maybe get the perspective on how maybe this company, Schneider Electric, how do they connect to maybe the challenges that Samuel has built on, especially on building the skilled renewable energy workforce, and with a focus on emerging markets. So maybe, Rafishak, you can go ahead.
Thanks, David. Yeah, so it's a heavy loaded question, that actually. So at Schneider Electric and its foundation, we realize that the infrastructure for the energy transition lies in building skills, right? We also know now that in terms of the emerging markets, the bottleneck is not just financial support and technology deployment, but it is the lack of the ecosystem to support renewable electrification. In other words, we lack technicians, electricians, maintenance experts that will support the renewable electrification system. So this is where the Youth Education and Entrepreneurship Program was born, right? It is supported by the Schneider Electric Foundation, and it has sort of become the flagship for entrepreneurship and training the youth on the energy transition. Since 2009, we've trained over 1 million youth, over 60 countries, with the support of perhaps 400 plus partners, right? Not just that, we've also supported just over 13,000 entrepreneurs within the energy transition thematic. It doesn't end there. We have more to come. So we have a new ambition, actually. By 2030, we want to train and reach 3 million youth, right? So that actually showcases the importance of skills development when it comes to enabling a workforce that will support renewable electrification. And perhaps maybe to take it a bit further, what are we doing different at Schneider Electric to support renewable electrification? We don't just create programs that will certify students, because let's face it, certification does not lead to employment. What leads to employment is the quality of the certification, the quality of the programs that we develop. In order to do so, we got to localize. We got to think about the ways that we can make these programs and these certifications amount to something. that leads to employment, that will support the investment that we have in terms of renewable electrification. So there's a lot to do in that space. And how do we do that? We communicate, we diversify, we collaborate with municipalities, with ministries, with government officials, with other NGOs and expertise in the markets, as well as industries, to really understand what is the need in the market. Thereafter, we create our program that suits that need. So at the end of the day, every student that completes the certification has a path to follow, right? They know what to do with it. Because one thing is to certify, and another thing is to do something with it. So it has to be an ecosystem that actually works. And to drive that ecosystem, you got to develop content that fulfills all the needs. And also a new aspect to this is that sometimes it's difficult to provide for a need and provide a solution when the people who need that solution are not even aware that such a solution exists. So awareness is also a huge aspect of what we try to do, is to educate the youth in terms of the energy transition and of course the possibilities. So if we as Africa want a resilient energy transition or ecosystem that will work, we need to invest in skill development. As the seriousness as we invest in perhaps physical infrastructure, this needs to take place, because without a full ecosystem to manage renewable infrastructure, it will not work. It will be a fragile system that over time will fail. Therefore, skills development is truly an important aspect in renewable infrastructure. And taking into consideration local needs and Africa being in the emerging markets, this is something that we really need to invest, but not invest as an afterthought, as a thought in one process. When we invest in terms of infrastructure, we should invest in skills development as well, and supporting entrepreneurs. These are some of the aspects that will create an ecosystem that is everlasting. So that is what Schneider Electric and its foundation is trying to achieve.
Wow, that's a good point to actually end and highlight from just what she has mentioned. Certification does not mean doing the work. And I think there is also an emphasis on we should not maybe handle the aspect of skill development as an afterthought. The focus has been on deployment of renewable energy technologies, but we have not looked at how sustainable, what kind of maybe infrastructure have we put. And maybe, because I have my 7 minutes to the end of the session, it will be good to open maybe this discussion to the audience. So may I pick 1 or 2 questions to our panelists before I maybe give them 30 seconds just to give us a concluding remark. So any question? Any comment? I can see a hand. A mic at the back. May I get the second question from this far end? I have seen a hand. So let's get those 2 questions.
Yes. Can I? Hello. Can I? Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Joseph Kenfak from Cameroon, manager of Solar Hydro Watt, a small company developing a renewable energy project. We've been talking a lot, and I'm very happy to see that we have done a lot in the field. It happens that apart from being engineer, I have 1 foot at university in that framework. I have conducted several training together with UNIDO, the EU, in Cameroon, in Guinea, and it was based on hydropower because we've been talking of solar. It happens that renewable energy is not only solar, but it is also hydro. And after 15, 20 to 25 years, we know that for solar, we also need to renew everything, the panels, the batteries, the inverters, and so on. And what do you think? Because from our own monitoring, we have realized that when you train the people, after some time, if they are not using that knowledge, if they do not have the hands on the project, at the end of the day, it is not that useful. Of course, they have gained some knowledge, but we need to see the results in the field. What do you think of developing projects along with the training and including the hydro? I mean, something like 10 to 15, or I don't know, when establishing some workshops together with the manufacturing of the product or the equipment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your question. Before I hand it over to the panelists, allow me to take the last question from the far end. I can see a hand here.
You, I'm Dieudonné from. My question is for Wekesa Power, the program of you build the capacity from technical school in Burundi, it is. But my question is, how do you plan to build capacity on the field? Because we have some technician who is at work now and who need to build that capacity to achieve the target that we have. We know there is a huge challenge when there is some project to execute in short period. So do you have that plan to build capacity to the technician on the field? Another question is for the module that you give us, the number of young people you have already give training in Schneider. When we saw the number that you give us and the target that we have to achieve the goal for 2030, I think you have to fix that component of module in the technician guys who is the field now. Because when you go to give some certificate to schools, program, TVT program, we need to know if you have a plan to build capacity for different company in this industry in East Africa that we have in sub-Saharan region. We need to know, do you have that program of training and which kind of requirement to the companies in this industry to partnering with Schneider in that program of training? Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. In the interest of time, I would want to request those of you who have questions, kindly the panelists will not be going away, but allow them to just respond to the questions that have been asked so that we can allow the next session to take off. So Schneider, I think there was a question for you.
Thank you, David. So in terms of skills development in Africa, in terms of modernizing and upgrading content itself, in terms of technical content, yes, Africa will always be a priority in terms of the ambition for 2030. In terms of translating those certifications into employment, into the corporate world, this is how we actually develop our programs, to ensure that we partner up with corporates and with industries to understand the need. And when you understand the need, you can create a program that creates a pipeline of talent. And that's truly important, because once you have a pipeline of talent, then you can filter them directly into the market, directly into the industry, right? And I do not foresee that educating or certifying a student or a person will ever go to waste. In other words, when we create these programs, bear in mind the local needs, the needs of the industry, and we partner up with direct industries to ensure that we can create this talent of pipeline for them. So we try to aim to have majority of the students with certifications in terms of our electrical training programs to be directly employed. Some of them choose not to be, because we also have entrepreneurship that we train as well. Some of them become innovators and entrepreneurs, self-sustainable. They start employing others. This is actually where we want to see most of these certifications end up into. And we want to support these entrepreneurs as well. So I think every time we develop a program, to wrap it up, is to say that it needs to be localized. We need to understand the needs of the market and the needs of the region. Thank you.
Yeah. Sam, I think there was a question.
Yeah. So in the example of Weza Power, and I think it also answers the question that was asked from the other side, of doing the skills development together with the project, the same time as the project. So this is focusing not just on the graduates from ETS, but also Weza Power trainees. So we had a bit of support from the Institute for Energy Studies here. They actually came out to and interacted with the Weza Power team in terms of thinking about that continuous training. And that continuous training would be both for some graduates from that school, but also from those technicians who are in the field. But beyond that, Weza Power is also looking to work with the government to set up in Gitega now a Center for Excellence. And this one would be looking at a much bigger number. I think it's 1,000 plus per year trained, and not just for Weza Power now. This will be for the sector. I think this idea, I think you're familiar that Anzana also has a power generation company in Burundi that has completed construction of one small hydro project, and there's a second one in construction. And that has usually meant having quite a number of skilled people at sites. And so this thinking around how do we continuously develop skills has been, in a way, developed based on some of the experience that we are getting. And the hope is that the trainees will be people who are already in the field. So they come on. Some of them could be contractors. They would come on. They would be trained here. And one experience here in Kenya has been that through that such kind of a program, you reduce a lot of the risks because you don't want people being electrocuted and all this. So I think that does answer that question. And maybe just to add one thing from the question around, yes, we know technology is improving over time. And so the approach is to see that even from the private sector is to see how do we contribute to the development of youth. And in this example that I was giving for Burundi, one other aspect has been how these skills will then lead to local manufacturing. And one of the low-hanging fruits is how some of these technicians could supply, for example, the ready boards that are usually used for rural electrification. And so there's another partnership that is looking to have more of the local youths and technicians to be able to be trained, to be able to assemble or manufacture these ready boards in country rather than importing. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the audience. And maybe in 5 words, that's starting from Kai, just give us a closing maybe remark on this discussion. 30 seconds.
I think that we can definitely move towards more localized manufacturing if we start to, put our skills development in the right place.
That was very effective. Clearly, we lack technicians everywhere, even in Europe. It's something crazy. All our customers are telling us that they are facing difficulties hiring good technicians. So more initiatives are needed, foundation work as well. Everybody is needed to have more electricians in the field so that we can deliver new projects. Best of luck to us all.
Countries need to be very deliberate in promoting localization of manufacturing. The localization cannot just happen on its own without you being deliberate and putting incentives and strategy for that to happen.
Yeah, this aspect of talent development is very crucial for the livelihoods of the young people, and therefore any time that goes into thinking about how to upskill the technicians, the people in the sector, I think is always welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Perhaps to reiterate, if we want a resilient African value chain with less import dependence, then we need to invest in local talent pipeline with the same seriousness as we invest in physical infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, panelists. One common denominator that is coming out here is invest in local skills. It should not be an afterthought as much as the focus is on deploying renewable energy technologies in terms of generation, but we should not forget how we are going to sustain that investment or that technology. And I want to thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause. So I think the next session is a coffee break session. But allow me just to, we have a group photo with the panelists. Then we join at 16:15, I think, a quarter past. Thank you. Thank you for the audience.
Good afternoon, good evening, good something. Thank you for turning up at 4:15 on the second day of what I'm sure has been a very